everybody, Patty Ann here. Hey, how are you? I think I'm getting this stuff down pretty good now. As you can see, I got a big old cookie behind me. That's because, and some baking supplies, that's because I was asked, well, let me show you what I was asked by showing you my screen. Oh, you know what? I probably should wait for a minute or two so some people have time to show up. Let's see. Let's just wait for a minute. Hey, Deanna. Hi, Tammy. Hey, Chow. And Rebecca. Hey, you guys. So I'm doing this for somebody in our Facebook group because she had asked me to. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Let's see if I can find it again. Here it is. All right. So as you can see, what it is Tony, who was actually Julie, had said, "Hi, Patty Ann, really enjoying your videos and learnt lots. Would you be able to do a video creating something along these lines?" So, of course I can. You know, I love it when someone asks me to do that. So, hey Brenda, how are you? All right. So, I'm going to go ahead, and this is what I'm going to be doing today, because what she said is that if I scroll down further, she says she started working on her Christmas presents, and she wants to get going. So, and I asked her if it would be okay if I did it in Silhouette Studio, because that's where it's easy to do it. So that's what I'm going to do today for you guys. And then if she would like to, if she's using a Cricut machine, all she has to do is save it, and I'll tell you about that more at the end. So you just save it as a JPEG, and then you can use it in Cricut Design Space as a cut file, just like I'm going to do here for you today with my Cameo. So let's get started, and let me get to this screen, back to my, okay, there we go. Okay, so you can see I've been messing around with this quite a bit. You can see this is what I'm going to be working on making. And so I'm going to get that out of the way for right now. And the first one that I showed her that I had done is this one right here. And I can actually show you, where did I put it? Oh, it's right here on my table. So let me show you this one. So this is the one that I already did for her. I've already cut this out of vinyl, and it's on the transfer paper, and it's ready to be put on. But I'm going to show how to do this. And if you're wondering what I'm going to put it on, I had a cookie tin, a Christmas one actually, left from last year. So what I did was I took it outside and just did white enamel paint on it, which hid all of the Santa Claus stuff. And then I'm just going to put this right on here. So I think it turns out really, really cute. The first thing, of course, that I did was I measured the surface that I had to work with. So let's go back to there we go. All right. Hey, Robin. Okay. So here we are back at Silhouette Studio, and I'm going to show you how I went ahead and made this shape right here. And these are all my practices over here, so I should probably get rid of a couple of them. I think what I'll actually just do is kind of push them over to the side a little bit. And this is the one I'm going to kind of mimic, because this is the one that I've already made once, and I'll make it again for you guys. But it fits perfectly on the size of that tin. So again, what I did was I measured the size of the tin so I knew how much room I had to work with. And then we're going to try to make this one right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably just write out the word cakes. And the font that I use for the word cakes is one called Androgyny, and I'm pretty sure that came from dafont.com. So I'm going to double check. So I'm going to, or I'm not going to double check right now. Maybe you can. It's spelled Androgyne. It's androgyny. So anyway, I'm going to come over here on the very left hand side to the text tool, click on that, and then I'm going to click on my canvas here. And mine, as you'll notice, it's still at the 8.5 by 11 size sheet of paper, because that's what I had used yesterday. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to type in the word cakes, just with a capital C, just like that. And now I want to change the font of that because I don't want it to be like that. And as I said, the one that I used is called Androgyny. So that's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to highlight this, or I can click off and click back on to get it. And then I'm going to come over here and get the text style panel over here on the right. Click on that to open it. And if you notice, if you go down here, in my recently used area, I have Androgyny because I've recently used it since I've been practicing with this. So I'm going to click on Androgyny and notice it makes it exactly the same as this font over here. Okay. So I know from trial and error that I want to make it larger. So I'm going to go ahead and make this larger. Or did I? Wait a minute. Let me think about this for a minute. I'm going to move this off to the side for a second and work on my circle first. And even before I get the circle, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw out a square so I know what size I have to work with. And I said that the space I had to work with was roughly 5 by 5. So I'm going to change this up here to 5 and this to 5. So I have a 5 of width and a 5 height, just so I have an idea. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make my circles, okay? And there were several ways I was trying to do this, and I found it's the easiest for me to do was to just come up here to the shapes and get the circle and make one. The other option I could have done was to go here to the flexi shapes and get this thing that's shaped like a donut, and I could have drawn out the donut like this and then resized it like this, you know, how big this is the space I'll have to put text. But for me, that wasn't as easy as doing the circles. So I'm just going to delete that. And you know, like we always say in our classes, there are many, many, many ways to do things. You may have a better way or a way that works better for you. But for today, this is the way that I'm going to do it. So maybe you'll learn a tip, and maybe, you know, you can give me some tips later on. But anyway, okay, I'm going to come over here to the little rectangle, and I'm going to actually come and get the circle. And I'm going to draw a circle out. I'm going to hold the shift key down on my keyboard as I draw to draw out the circle. If I don't hold the shift key down, I might be making an oval. This helps it stay exactly a circle. Okay, now let's move this box out. I don't really need it right now. So here's my circle. I needed it originally when I was trying to figure out how big this circle should be. But since I already know that information, I probably don't really need this. But anyway, my circle now, I want it to be my outer circle 4.25 inches approximately. Now again, this would all be determined by the size of the label that you're going to make for your tin, whether it be for cake, cookies, maybe it's for craft items. You know, there are lots of reasons. One of my tins I found over there had a lot of sewing supplies in it. Anyway, I'm going to change this now to 4.25. And what I can do before I go ahead and change that is I can, hey Barbara, I can lock the lock. Tick lock, there it is. And I'm going to change it to, I said 4.25, right? 4.25. Hit enter. So that changes it proportionately. And now that's my outer circle. Now for this part right here. Now for the inner circle, I've determined for the size of the lid or the label that I'm making, I'm going to make that inner circle 3 inches. So again, I come over here and get the circle, hold down my shift key so I make a perfect circle, and just start drawing. And I can kind of look at those numbers if I want to and stop when I get to 3, although that's not totally easy. Pretty close right there, 3.001. But just for the heck of it, I'm going to come up here and actually change it to 3.0. There we go. And since the lock was still locked, it changed it proportionately. All right. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this little one on top of the big one, grab both of them, And I'm going to center them by using this little centering thing up here at the top. Hit center. And then the next thing I'm going to do while they're still selected is I'm going to subtract. Hey, Stephanie. So I'm going to go over here to the star, not to the star, to the little icon right above the star. And if you hover over it, you'll see that it is the Modify panel. I'm going to click on that to open it. And then I'm going to come up here to where it says Subtract and click on Subtract. And that makes me a perfect ring, just like I have for this. And just like I had for the one that I had already shown you. This one right here. Okay, it makes a perfect circle that's going to go on the top of my cookie tin or my candy tin that I've already painted. Okay, so here we are at this, and the next thing I'm going to do, let's see, I subtracted that. I'm going to say, I can't remember if I decided to, I think I'm going to change it to transparent right now, and I'm not sure of the exact order I have to do this in. And then I'm going to go ahead and go right click and nope, I'm going to have to come up here to Object and convert to Path. Okay. And now I wrote out the word cakes already, which I wanted to do. And I need to change the letter spacing on this. Because if you can come in with me with the bug a little bit, you can see they're not quite touching. And I prefer them to be touching, especially since I'm using vinyl. So if I'm able to have them touching, I will. I'm not using HTV, not heat transfer vinyl. So I will never have to reverse this or mirror it. Because I'm just using regular vinyl. But anyway, let's see. I'm going to click on this now. And if I come over here to where the text style panel is, click on that. And then notice down here, once you get down below all the fonts, there's line spacing. Well, I only have one line of text, so I don't need to mess with that. But then there's character spacing. So I'm going to change the character spacing a little bit so they overlap each other a little bit. Move that in like that. There we go. Oh, there. That's pretty good right there. Maybe just one little bit more. And since I'm a little jerky with my mouse on this little slider, I can just come over here to these little arrows that drop down and adjust it that way. Whoops. Okay, that's good. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight all of it and right click and say Weld. And just like in any program, what that does is it makes it so rather than these being individual letters that are going to be cutting into each other, it's just one big word. So let me scroll back out a little bit. And what I'm going to do, I always like to do this, I'm going to actually duplicate this thing by holding down my Alt key after checking on it. And maybe I'll just do it twice. I just like to have extra stuff over here just in case. I'm going to do the same thing with the word cakes. I've highlighted it, get my Alt key, and just duplicate that twice over there just in case I need it. And I know I'm going to need one of those extra cakes. So let's see. Okay, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to see where I want this word cakes to be. And I actually kind of want it to be off like that a little bit. And so that my extra ones I have over here on the left are exactly the same, at the same angle, I am just going to go ahead again and duplicate these. Because I want them to be just like the other one. So I don't have to worry about the angle not being proper. Alright, move up just a little bit like that. So I'm looking again at this to see how did I do it. And let's see. Okay, so the one thing I'm noticing is look at this. The S on this one goes all the way outside, and I think it did on the sample that Julie showed me as well. Let's look and see if we still see her sample. Yes. Now see, I didn't use the same fonts as she did. I didn't even try to find them because that could be like finding a needle in a haystack, but I found some fonts that I like just as well. But notice that that S goes outside almost of this ring. So let's get rid of this jazz again because I hate a bunch of junk all cluttering our screen when we're trying to learn. All right, there we go. All right, so I think what I'll do, oops, when I clicked on that, I got the nodes, notice that. And by the way, we're going to be talking and learning more about nodes, not this Saturday in class, but the following Saturday in our live class from Patreon. We're going to learn about the nodes there. All right, let's see. I need to go ahead and just click on the V on my keyboard to get rid of those nodes and have it just a selection tool like that. And so what I'm going to do is, did I tell you yet what I wanted that to be? Let's see. I thought I had written down the size that I wanted the font to be. So I'm double checking on my notes. Okay, and I don't see where I put that, so I'll just putz with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this word and just kind of stretch it out a little bit like this. Just like that. And so it's going to hang out a little bit like this, okay? And that's what I want to have happen. And actually you can see this right here, or maybe you cannot very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of some parts of this line out here of the outer border so that my cake, the word cake, can be just like this going outside of it, because I think that really does look attractive. So to do that, first I think what I'll do is I'm going to come over, let's see my notes here now, to the knife tool right here on the left hand side near the bottom. I'm going to click on the knife tool. Now when I click on the knife tool, I want you to come up here and make sure that solid is not checked. If solid is checked, well, let me show you what will happen. Let's just make the circle like this, and I'll make it like that. So it almost looks the same as this one, right? And if I come to the knife tool and I have solid checked and auto apply is not checked, when I drag the knife across here, nothing happens yet, but when I click apply, notice what it did. It did cut it in half, but it added these lines at the end of each side. You see those little lines that it added right there and there? Let me show you again. So if I grab the knife tool and solid is checked, and I go like this, and I apply, notice what it did. It made two pieces with a solid line. So let me show you on this bottom part what will happen if I do it the other way. If I grab the knife tool again, and I come up here and choose this to say outline instead. And actually, if you read that little blurb that shows up in yellow up there, it kind of tells you, it says, when using the knife tool to cut an unfilled closed shape, treat that shape as an outline. And this one says to treat that shape as a solid, but that will mean more to you in a moment. So I have the knife tool selected. I'm going to come up here and click outline, and now watch what happens when I do the knife tool here. So there it is, and of course nothing's happened yet, but when I go ahead and click apply, notice what happened. I have two pieces, but it didn't stick that extra piece in there. So let me delete all of this junk, and let's go back over to this side and scroll in a little bit. So, and let's look down here at our sample. If you look at this sample, notice it does not have a line across right here. It's blank. Nothing's there, and that's what we want. So I'm going to grab the, oopsie. I'm going to come over to the left-hand side and grab the knife tool. And I'm just going to come over here and draw a line straight across. And I wish I was looking at my samples so I knew where I had done it before. So I'm going to drag my sample up here. Okay, that looks pretty close, but maybe and this is the beauty of not having the apply on there automatically, because if I had it on auto apply, it already would have applied the knife effect, and of course I could just undo on my computer, but if I don't want to undo, I can just change this now any way I want to, and maybe, I don't know, about like that's fine. So now I'm going to apply it. And what that did was it cut right there. But I'm not going to be able to remove anything yet until I make another cut right down here below the S as I have here on the sample. So again, I'm going to come to the knife tool, make sure outline, auto apply is not checked, come over here and just go ahead and draw. Okay, nothing's happening yet. And you know why, because I did not hit apply yet. Once I do, there we go. Now, what I should be able to do, and let me move the text style panel out of the way, I should be able to grab each of these pieces out of here and just grab them both and delete them. So that's perfect. All right, let's go on this side and do this side over here. I really overachieve with this little bar down here. Okay, let's see. Let's check it out. All right, so notice I didn't do it way up above the C in the sample. The line's going to go all the way down into the C, so I don't want to mess with that at all with the knife tool. So I'm going to get the knife tool, make sure it's outline, make sure auto apply is off, and then I'm just going to come over here, maybe about right here. No, I'm not holding down the knife key or the shift key, because it really doesn't matter if it's straight, because all I'm doing is cutting right here, this little teeny tiny line. But that is a good question, Deanna, because usually I do hold it down to make sure it's really, really straight. So I'm going to go ahead though, while this is still highlighted, and I'm going to say apply. And again, there's nothing much I can do yet until I come over here, and let's see, where is it about? Oh, about there, whatever. You know, I made this one up, so I don't know why I'm trying to copy my own, but okay. So anyway, get the knife tool again over here, and make sure outline is on, auto apply is not, and auto apply should not come back on automatically by itself while you're working here. It should stay off. And I'm just going to go ahead and, let's see, get this about right here and apply it. And so now, since I have a little, let's zoom in and you can see maybe, I have a little tiny gash right here and a little tiny gash right here which separated this line. I can now click on this piece and just hit delete on my keyboard, and it's gone. All right, so that looks terrific, except for we got to fix this one last part here. So I wanted the line to come all the way up to the C here and come to the C here. So right now is an example of why I have that extra word cakes and why I usually make duplicates of stuff, because I'm going to sacrifice the one that's in here right now to make this perfect. And watch. So I'm going to get the knife, outline, auto apply off. I'm going to just slice right in the middle of the line right here, like that. And I'm going to apply. So notice that made a slice not only in the, let me get bigger for you, not only through the line, but it also made a slice in the word. So that's why I'm sacrificing it. So I'm going to come down here and do the same thing here. I'm going to get the knife, go ahead and slice and apply. I don't know why that did that. I wonder what I did. Oh well. And just hit delete on my keyboard, and that is now gone. So I'm going to scroll back out And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this word cakes, because this one's messed up. You see it's got slices in it, but that's okay because I made an extra one, so it's gone. And I can go over here and try to find my other one that I hid way over here away from myself. There we go. And remember, I put it at the exact angle, so it's going to fit in here perfectly, just like that. Okay. So far so good. I'm liking it. I think that was over there a little further. Okay, very good. All right, let's see. The next thing, where am I in my notes? I'm not really following them, so. Okay, the next thing that I did according to my notes, let's see. Could you have selected text in inner circle and do subtract? Text. Could I selected text in inner circle? You know what? I think I tried that and I wasn't having much luck with that working at all. But you can try that and let me know if that works for you. Seems like I was trying a lot of different things. I was trying subtract all, divide, all kind of things. And this was just the easiest for me. So, you know. But the next thing that I was going to do was I'm going to ungroup these guys right here. The top part. Oh, I can't ungroup it. So what I need to do then is go to Object, release the compound path of those two. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, look, Control Z back. All right, because what I want to do, if you'll notice, one of these lines is darker than the other. So I decided, and this was just with trial and error, what I thought looked good, I decided to make the outer ring a line width of 8. So to do that, all I do is select it. Then I come way up here, see that line right there, and I'm going to change the line width to 8. And just be careful because it's easy to make it 800 or 8,000 or 8 million. Just make sure you put an 8 and that there's still a decimal point there before you hit enter. So that's perfect. And then for the inner line, I decided what I liked was, I think, 6. Let me look at my notes. Yep, 6. So I'm going to make this a 6. And again, I'm making sure up here, here's where I am up here, that is 6.00. Enter. Oops, I hit delete. Ah, I'm glad it didn't delete. But you know what I did just delete? The 6. I got to go back up there and put the 6. And now hit enter. Okay, so there we go. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we got to do the same thing at the bottom. Since I've already released that compound path, this one's ready. So the bottom one again was, or the inner one is 6. 6 period. Yep. And this one should be 8. 8. And again, you know, this is a good thing. You know, you may not want to make something that says cakes. You may not want to say any of this text, but this is just going to give you some good practice if you try this yourself on how to manipulate these things. And maybe you wanted to say, you know, cookies, or maybe you wanted to say thread, or whatever you want yours to say. So, okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just do Jackson's again. Let's say hi. Oh, that's okay, Julie. Oh my gosh. Hey, welcome. Hey, this is who we're making this for, Julie, you guys. Julie, it will be recorded. No problem. You'll be able to go back and watch it. Not a problem whatsoever. Yeah, I was showing them one and I showed how you had asked the question. So, not a problem. All right. Let's go. Now I'm ready to put in the word Jackson's. Hey, Julie, would you be wanting to... Well, I better just go with Jackson's because I know what I'm doing. But anyway, obviously, Julie may put in her last name here, or you can put in your last name or any text you want. But just for this, for the demonstration, I'm just going to go with what I have already practiced. So I'm going to come over here to the text tool. And I'm going to come over here onto my... whoopsie, let me move this out of the way. Okay. Come over here to the text tool again and come over here to my little mat area, virtual mat, and I'm going to type in the word Jackson's with all capital letters. Bye, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us. So I'm putting Jackson's, and I've done it all in caps, as I said. Now the font that I like to use for this one is called, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Calibri. And I'm honestly not sure if it is one that's on my um, on my own computer or if it's one I got from DaFont. But I'm going to come over here and you'll see this spelling of it. It's C, here, if you can see it up here. I don't know if I can scroll into that part or not. Nope. All right. So it's C-A-L-I-B-R-I. C-A-L-I-B-R-I. Calibri, maybe? So that's the font that I chose for this one because it I just like the way it looked. All right, so I'm going to come again and get it. Now, if you're over here, you know that if you scroll up, you're going to see your frequently used fonts as well as recently used. And so we know I recently used androgyny. Whoops, I scrolled down. Because that's what I made the word cakes with. And now I'm going to use the Calibri or Calibri. There it is there. And I also know, based on the way I like the way it looked, is I made it bold. So to make it bold, all you have to do is click on it and then come over and hit the B. Notice what that did? Watch the word Jackson's. When you click on bold, the B for bold here, bold. I could underline it if I wanted to. I could make it italicized, but I just want it to be bold. Okay. Are you asking about me, Julie? I'm in Western North Carolina. Tammy is in Mobile, Alabama. Mobile. All right. Anyway, so the Jacksons, I'm going to change the font size for this to 42. And again, you will adjust all these numbers based on the size of the label you're making. I'm going to hit enter after I put the 4 in there and hit enter. Okay, then that made it a nice size. However, when I brought it up here to look at it, let's see. I think what I wanted to do was this is how I check to see the size. I'm looking at the S there, and you see how nicely it fits in there with a little bit of space at the top and the bottom. That's what I'm looking for. So the next thing I was going to do was I went ahead and changed the character spacing on this because I wanted it to be able to curve around this and take up a little bit more space than what this looks like it will take up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the font panel again, the text style panel, and I'm going to change the character spacing. And because I want it to be a little bit further apart, as I said. So I'm going to move the character spacing over. And what I discovered that I like for this particular one is about 120. So again, I can use the slider, or I can go ahead and use the numbers here and fill those in. Still, again, making sure there's a decimal point so things aren't too wacky. All right, and now I want to change it to black. I'm just going to come up here to the color swatch area, change it to black. Just going to bring it up here again, and I think that's going to work just fine. So when I double click on it and it's back to the text editing mode, and you know that because of the green box around it and this 4-headed arrow, I'm going to take that arrow and drag it up here. And notice it's jumping onto everything this little 4-headed arrow touches. But what I actually want it to jump onto is the middle ring, like that. Perfect. All right, and you're looking at that saying, well, that doesn't look perfect to me because it's sitting on that line. And you're right, I don't want it to be sitting on that line. So what I'm going to do is take this little thing right here that looks like a zipper to me. And if I take this zipper and move it, look what it does to that text. It's so cool. I love this. This software is just neat. So I'm going to scroll back out a little bit so we can see. And so maybe you might be thinking, well, I want the S to be a little bit over that way to the right a little bit. So I can take the double-headed or the 4-headed arrow and just move this however I want it to be. And again, I can use the zipper tool and move it however I like. So to me, that looks beautiful. Liking that. So the next thing I would do then is do the since 1996. So again, come over to the text tool, click on it, and type in since 1996. And so it will match this up here perfectly. All I'm going to do is click on this and change the font size to the exact same one I used here. And if I'm not sure, I can click on it, and here it shows 42, and it tells me what font as well. So I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to change it from 72 to 42 and hit enter. And I'm going to change the font. Now I can come over here and change it if I want to. Scroll down here. I guess I'll do that because there it is right there, the Calibri. Click on that. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to make it bold, just like this one up here is. So I'm going to come over here to where it shows the B for bold. Click on bold, and you see how that made it bold. And when I first did this, I thought, you know, I don't think I really need to space that any different, and I might not. But I think I went ahead and did it anyway. So I'm just going to go over here to the line spacing, and I will change, not the line spacing. You know why not the line spacing? There's only one line of text here. I want to do the character spacing. So I'm going to change that to 120. Doesn't matter what the line spacing is because there's only one line. All right, now notice it's not jumping to that line like the other one did. I don't care where I try to put it, it won't jump to the line. And if you work with text, you may know why. The reason why it's not jumping to the line is because I have to double click on this to get it back to the text editing mode. And that lovely four-headed arrow right here, that's the magic, the four-headed arrow. That's the one I grab to move, and anywhere I come, anything I come in contact with, this line of text is going to try to drape around it. So I'm going to bring it up here and watch, boom. That's not where I want it, so I'm going to move it further in. Oh, there, that's where I want it. Perfect, just like that. And again, you're saying, yeah, that's not perfect. I don't want it down there on that line. And you may be saying, you know what, you forgot to turn it to black. So I'll come up here and change it to black first with the color swatch. Black. Oh! Now I'll change it to black. And now I need to double click on it again to make it back to the text editing, and you can tell because of the green box around it and that four-headed arrow. Now, it looks pretty good. Again, except for that, it's too close to this line here. So all you have to do is grab this little zipper, and if you don't remember what to grab, just try grabbing whatever you can find that's right here to grab. If you try to grab this, that didn't do it. What else is there? Oh, there's this thing. I wonder what that does. Oh, it does that. Perfect. That's just what I wanted. So, you know, be brave. Try things. You're not going to hurt anything. So there it is, just about done, except for we need to add the stars, and that's simple. So I'm just going to come over here on the left-hand side to the flexi shapes and get a star. And those of you that use this business edition know what fancy things we can do with these shapes over there. So I'm going to start drawing this star, and look at that star. That's a crazy looking star, right? Well, here's that zipper tool. I wonder what it'll do. Oh my gosh. Well, that's not quite what I want, but maybe kind of. All right. Oh, I want it to look like that because I think it looked like a regular star. So let me twirl that around a little bit, but that's an awfully weird looking star. Click on that again. Okay, there's the little zipper tool that we could mess with. There's all these outer boxes, but there's this little red dot that you can also mess with. So again, I recommend you just play around with these things. So just grab that little red dot and look what it will do. It'll make that into the strangest looking shapes, right? But this is what I want. I want a star that looks pretty much like that. So now I'm happy with that star, except for it's way too big. Make it smaller. Let's see, does that fit pretty well? Let me scroll out so we can see. Okay. That looks pretty good. I'm noticing there's a lot of extra space up here, so I might do something a little bit different on this one. So here's this star. What I'm going to do first though is I'm going to click off, then click back on, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key on my keyboard and drag out another one and another one. I think I'll make a few of them because I'm going to put a few up at the top up here. And so just like in the example, I'm going to make the two outer ones, and actually I should have probably just done it like this, the two outer ones smaller. So now since this one is selected, I think I will hold down the Alt key and just drag another one over just like that. That's easier like that. And you know what? I made all these stars for nothing, because what I can do now is just click on this one, hold down my Shift key, click on these others, and then just hit Control Duplicate, Control D on my keyboard, and that made a duplicate of those three, and I can put them up there if I want to. So I could have 3 and 3 if that's what I'd like. And for now I'll leave it like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to grab all these stars right here, and I'm going to change their color. And by the way, while I was grabbing them, I held down my Shift key because that allowed me to grab all of them at one time. I held down my Shift key and clicked, and I kept holding my Shift key down as I went through here and clicked them all. And now I need to get rid of these guys. Delete, delete. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Don't know that it's exactly the same as my first one I made, but pretty close to it. Okay, so now what I would do is I would just group these. And I think if I try right now to convert this to a compound path, it's not going to work right. So let me double check. Oh, great, it worked right. So all I needed to do was group it first, and then I could convert it to a compound path. But wait a minute. Nope, you notice something that's not right? The lines aren't right. So I'm going to undo that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup some of these things. And I don't really need to convert it to a compound path for me here. So as a matter of fact, I don't think I'll even do that for you guys. At first I was thinking I would have to do this if you wanted to use it in Cricut Design Space. But no matter what size you make lines here, they don't show up that way in Cricut Design Space. In other words, if I make a line this wide, like that, with the line spacing, we'll say the line point spacing up here at the very top is a 1. Now I'll make it a 4 so you can see it a little better. Whoa, not a 14. I made it a 4. You see that? I put a 4 up here to make this line the size of a 4. And if I make another one, and I draw another line, and this one I come up here and I make this one an 8, something else, made it a 9. Even though these look like this here, and they will work fine in CAMEO, in Silhouette Studio, when I take these over to Cricut Design Space, both of these lines will look exactly the same size. So it will not carry through, so it's not important that I worry about that. But I am going to show you how you can use your design that you just made in Cricut Design Space. So let's just, okay, I have this a little bit crazy when I move this around a little bit, I guess. Not sure what I did or when I did it. I need to ungroup that. Because I did something to the word, to the letters here. Let me move this out. I think I got them a little bit cockeyed or something somehow. I'm not sure what I did. Let's see, since I should have grouped those. Let me group these guys. Group. Alright, now let me put this little guy back in here. And then I can, oh, I thought I missed the 6, but I didn't think I missed the S. Okay, and if I want to, I could use the arrow key on my keyboard once I have this selected if I want to do a little bit more fine tuning. That looks pretty good. So now I'm going to group all this before I mess it up again. And to make this in... Did I not get everything when I grouped? Group. Heavens to Betsy, what's going on? I swear I'm getting it all. Group. Oh, I just clicked on group. Group. Okay, there, thankfully. All right, so to make this now with my silhouette, all I have to do is to come over here to send. And I'm going to click on this thing to select it. And then I'm going to come over here so that it doesn't say cut edge, but it just says cut. I just like the way that looks better. And that just means it's going to cut around every one of these little things like this. And I already have my machine set to vinyl glossy. I have it as a cut file. And I have the ratchet blade set. So I'm already ready to go. And I'm going to show you me cutting it over here. And what I'm using is the permanent glossy vinyl from Cricut. And I've already got it on my mat here. My not very sticky mat, so I better turn it over on the upside down. Let me put you down like this just a little tiny bit. Yeah, I guess it won't move any further down. But anyway, you can see a little bit right here. All right, so burnish that a little bit, and I like to do it on the back so I don't damage the front of my vinyl. So I have a brayer. I know a lot of you like to use brayers. So that looks pretty good. I've got my ratchet blade in there. I'm just going to load this up. And I'm going to let this cut, and while this is cutting, I'm going to show you what we need to do next to take this over to Cricut Design Space. So those of you who are using Silhouette for your Cricut machine, you'll know after you make this beautiful label how you can use it with your machine. So let me start this. Let's go send. Oh, by the way, I have already done a test cut because I already cut this other one out. So I always recommend that you do a test cut to make sure that, and that didn't load very well because of my non-sticky mat. We put a little piece of tape on there just for today so that we don't have a disaster and everything works well. So I'm going to put a little shiny, put this on here well, a little piece of tape up here to hold it in place, and a little piece down here. Make sure that it doesn't move on me. And again, I'm going to burnish it. Okay. Now let's put it in here again. Load. And I'm going to go ahead and send it. Let me double check my settings one last time. Cut. Ratchet blade. Vinyl glossy. Yep. Tool number 1. Okay. Send. All right. So that's sending now, and hopefully you can still hear me. Let's go back to this, and I think I'm going to be able to go back to design. Yes. So here we have this beautiful design. We cannot save this design as an SVG for Cricut Design Space because of those lines, and I can actually show you what happens. I'm now in Cricut Design Space. This one worked. Let me show you the one that doesn't work. I think I still have it here. Let's see. Yes, this one is the one that's the SVG file. Look at the lines right here. You know we made those lines really thick over there, and they did not come in thick over here at all. They don't look right at all. So you don't want to save it as an SVG file. You want to save it as a JPEG. So, okay, good. You can still hear me. Thanks, Tammy. Whew. All right. Okay, so let me get rid of this. And let me show you what to do now. Go back to Silhouette. All you need to do to save this, to use it, is come up here to File. And actually, what you might want to do is go select it and say Save Selection As. Otherwise, it's going to try to save this and any other junk you have over here on your screen. So what I always do is I put it on my mat, whatever's on my mat. I select it. Then I come over here to File, Save Selection. Save Selection to hard drive, and I'm going to save it as a JPEG file. And what I saved it as was Jackson's Cake, print then cut for Cricut, and I saved it as a JPEG. I'm going to say OK. It says I already have it. I know. I'll replace it. And just leave these numbers as they are that pops up and say save. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to come up here to Upload, and you can see I've already done this, but I'll do it again so you know exactly how to do it. Upload an image, browse, and I'm going to browse for that thing I just made right here. If I hover over it, notice it says item type JPEG file, JPG. That's the one we want. This was my test for Cricut. That was the SVG that did not work because the lines didn't work properly. So we need to save it as a JPEG. Say open. Here it is, coming in just like this. I always say complex. I don't know if that makes any difference at all. And go to continue. And now we have to get rid of this background stuff so that it will work properly. And you guys in Cricut, you know how to do this. You just come up here to this little magical wand looking tool that says select and erase. I'm just going to come in here and start erasing all that. Look at that. In one big swoop it got rid of a lot of it. And that. Now the first time I did this, I did notice I had to get rid of these two, the inside of the A and the E. But I forgot to get the inside of the A, which you need to get, and the O, and the 9, and the 9, and the 6. All right, so then you continue, and it really doesn't matter which one of these two you save because they're both pretty much the same. So just save the one that says on the left there. Here it is, comes in beautifully like this. Right now it says it's a cut then print, but we don't want it to be that. We want it to just be a cut. So I'm going to say no fill, and that changed it just to a cut file. And the only thing you have to do now is you have to resize it to whatever size will fit on your cookie tin or your tin. So, all right, now let's, this one is finished. Let's unload it. And I should have checked it before I did that. Hopefully my settings didn't change while I was off for so long of the machine. All right, I'm going to have you look down here, and I'll weed it, and then I'll put it on the top so you can see the completed lid. All right. So put your camera, I'm going to turn you guys down here. Okay, there you go. And I'm just going to start weeding this. And the first one that I did, my little sample one, weeded really well. I assume this one will as well. So I just start where I know there's nothing. Probably move you guys in a little closer. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. Okay, I'm going to cut this off because I don't want a chance of having this stick to something I don't want it to stick to. So I'm just going to cut this part right off of here. And as I've told you before, I try not to get it in this big hump like I just did, because just in case there's something that gets missing, I might be able to find it in here and use it however I should. So what I usually do is just tape this on the side of my desk while I'm working, so I have it just in case I need it for something. In case there's a little spot that came off that should not have. So let's see. Start here. So you know what, you guys, I already did something wrong. Look, I wasn't paying attention. That's what happens when you're doing live things. You don't pay very good attention sometimes. So, through the magic of the internet, I'll bring the one that I did do when I wasn't in the camera trying to watch it all. So this is the one that I did do earlier that worked out just perfectly. You notice on that one, the black line, I accidentally weeded it right off. So this one's ready to go. Okay. Here's the lid that I said I painted, and I'm hoping this is going to work because this has just been drying for maybe about an hour, so hopefully I'm not going to take the paint off of the surface. Okay, I've got to stand up so I can kind of make sure I'm placing this pretty well. And this is Cricut transfer tape, which is kind of nice because it has the grid on it. Helps you to see. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, let's... Oh, see? I knew it was going to do that. It's taking the paint off, you guys. I knew I didn't let it... I figured I didn't let it dry long enough. But luckily, this is just a sample. Hey, maybe it's going to have a good look, like a... What do you call it? I don't know. Rustic. So, since it did that much of it, I might as well try to get it to take some paint off down here to make it look like it's a design element. There we go. Okay. Okay, that wasn't my intention at all. It's just that my paint wasn't dry. Because I was afraid. Anyway, I kind of think it's cute. Rustic or something. What do you call it? Shabby chic? I don't know. I'm just willy-nilly going around here taking some paint off. Of course, right here where I want some off, it will come off. There we go. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Did you guys have any questions? I'm over here at the chat now to see if y'all had any questions about anything. I actually think it didn't turn out all that bad, even with all that mess that I made right there. It's kind of cute, actually. So, oh, thank you.
It's all charged up.
Okay, thanks. Alright, so, look at this. David, my husband's here right now for a sec. I was making this thing. I didn't let the paint dry long enough. It was supposed to not have any of that stuff show. It was supposed to be a total white top. Oh well. So. All right. Oh, the distressed look. There you go. Yeah, it does. It does kind of look nice, doesn't it? It's kind of cool. Anyway. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or anything? Oh yes, please y'all hit the thumbs up button and comment, because that really helps, I guess, from what I understand, because then Google, I guess, notices your video more and might pass it on to other people more. So if you like my videos, I really appreciate if you give me thumbs up and comment below them, because it's really helpful. Thanks. Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, I kind of like it, right? Yeah, the thumbs up underneath. Not even here so much as the thumbs up, but all underneath the video. Under the video. Maybe you can't do that yet, but when the... I don't know. Maybe you just do it here. I don't know. Anyway. Brenda has questions? Yes, Brenda. Let me look back. Okay, what are nodes? Okay, I can show you what nodes are up here. If you look back up here at my screen, let's go back right quick to Silhouette. Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad you asked, because I really do like having a reason to make videos. I just enjoy it and I learn. You saw how many times I was practicing over here, or maybe you didn't. This is before you got here, I think, when I was showing your sample and how many times I was practicing things. But anyway, back to nodes. So here we have something. I think I'll still be able to show you what they are. Oh, you can do a thumbs up anytime under the video. Oh, okay, super. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to scroll in like this so you can see it. Now, I think I might need to ungroup. What else might I need to do? Release compound path, maybe. Maybe I just need to forget about this one, delete it, and make a new thing. So I'll just make this star right here. Object. Okay, so what we have right here, and let me make it a little bit of a lighter color, or a prettier color, because I'm sick of this color. All right, so we have this pink star right here. And what nodes are, I'll scroll into one little part. When I double click on this thing, do you see these little boxes that come up? Right here at this corner there's a box. At this little corner there's a box, and at this one. You can take these nodes and reshape things however you want them to be shaped. Or you can add things together or join things. So yeah, click, thanks Stephanie. So that's what the nodes are. They're these little tiny things right here, the little tiny boxes. And let's see. Let me get rid of this one for a minute and make another one. Let's see, delete. I need to get the V and delete that. Okay, let's get another one of these shapes just right quick. And I'll get this little flowery guy, which I think is cool. And I can change, of course, the zippery thing. Look at that. Now, wait, you see how many nodes are going to be on this. And, of course, I could make it like this. Imagine the pretty flowers you could make, right? With just manipulating these couple little buttons you have. But if I double-click on this, well, I've got to make it a path first. I'll convert to path. Okay, if I double-click on this now you can see all the little nodes in this, too. Each one of these squares is a little node. So if I wanted to, and I had the time and the energy, I could really just change up these images however I'd want them to be by just dragging around on these nodes. Maybe I want this one to go pointed out like that. So I'll have three innies and one outie. So how did I make those innies? I don't know. Oh, like this, in, I think, innie, and an innie. So I'm just pulling these little squares, and then this one, oops, not that. Yeah, that would be an outie. Anyway, so what it is you just, oh yeah, can you imagine your machine cutting that? Oh my gosh. Especially because we don't even know how big it is for sure. Let's look and see how big that is. Oh my gosh, that would be horrible for your machine to cut because this thing is only a little over an inch wide. So can you imagine all these little things? It would just look like messy fringe, I think. So you really have to take that into consideration when you're doing this kind of stuff. Okay, did I answer the question? Was that it with nodes? What are nodes? They're the little squares that allow you to move things around and to manipulate things or to join things if you want some things to join. Like sometimes, well, so maybe I can show this last example. Hopefully it will work. If I change that to transparent, let's get rid of this guy. Change this to transparent. Right now, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and change that thing, if I click on it, to any color I want, right? But let's change it back to transparent for a minute. Click on it first and then change it back to transparent. If I took the knife tool right here, made a slit in it, and hit apply, and if I now try to click on this and color it in, it should not work. Correct. Okay, so it will not work because there's a break in here and the nodes aren't connected. So what I could do, hopefully, is to double click on here, and you see these two little red nodes? If I drag them together, they will make a completed path, and then I'll once again be able to color in this object. And this is really helpful when you're making your own SVGs, like if you're trying to make a Mickey Mouse or something and you're like, I cannot get his pants to color in or something. There's probably a little break in one of the lines, and nodes help you to fix that break so things will color in the way you want them to. Okay, and she wanted to know if she could if you could change the color of the vinyl. Yeah, you mean while I was making that thing? Sure, what it could be made in whatever color you'd like. Let's see, do I still have those junky pieces? Yeah. All right. So this here, I keep making everything black, but of course I could easily make it pink. And the only thing that would make it pink is if I put pink vinyl on my mat instead. And I could have adjusted these and made different parts different colors. So if I did like a release the compound path, I could make the word, maybe this part right here. I'll make this part purple. And then I'm gonna object, make a compound path. Whoops, I made the whole thing purple when I made it a compound path. Let's see, let's just ungroup or release it again. Anyway, yes, in the middle while I was working, I could have easily had different colors of things and not had it all be the same color. Let me do this back the way it should be. There we go. And you know, of course, I like the pink. I love pink and orange. Pink and orange. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Yes, make sure that you do sign up over on my blog if you're learning to use the Silhouette software. Maybe I can put some links in here right now. Let's see. All right. Here's my website or blog. Oh, you know what? I can't do it because I'm watching you guys on another device. I thought I was going to do it from my my computer to my iPad, but I can't copy and paste from one of those to the other. So anyway, my blog is pattyansplace.blog. It's very easy to remember, pattyansplace.blog. And at the bottom, actually underneath this video, you'll see links to everything. I've already put them under there, so as soon as we're done here, you should be able to see them all. And here, you're seeing my links to my YouTubes or all my stuff anyway, but you won't be able to click on these. So, but you will be able to click on the ones that are underneath of the video. So, okay. Thanks, Joni. Thanks, Stephanie. Yeah, I like it too. It's funny though, because I sure didn't expect it to do that. Well, I did kind of expect it. You heard me say before I did it, I was like, I'm afraid I only let this dry for an hour. So yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Well, I thank you all for coming, and I will see you all again soon. What day is today? Wednesday? So I don't know if I'll do another live before Saturday. If not, I'll see y'all live Saturday. Morning, bright and early for some of you, and late for others. So thanks again for joining me. Bye, you guys.